So arguably the most forgiving driver of 2026 possibly is the Ping G440K Driver. But in this video, I'm going to put up the new Wilson DynaPwr Max Driver. Over 10K moment of inertia, their most forgiving driver they've launched, and there's a big difference on the price point. So I'm going to put these two head to head, two really forgiving drivers, and we'll see which one comes out on top. So I think many of us know and understand about the Ping products. You know, we've seen some real big forgiveness, and obviously the G440K is their newest 10K version. Lots of carbon on there, so really aiming towards that stability and straight hitting. And then we have a look at the Wilson, probably not the most renowned in that driver category, but we've got the new Max Plus driver. So this is their addition to the DynaPwr range, exceeding the 10K mark, so they're most forgiving the driver they've produced. Lots of adjustability, which again we'll run through in this video. So first initial looks between these two drivers. Let's look at it from the sole of the golf club, and two quite different looks. The Ping, we see lots of carbon being involved on that bottom of the golf club. We'll get that adjustable weight at the back, and we also do with the Wilson, but a little bit more subtle looking. We've got a weight at the back that just flips around, where we've actually got a movable chunk of tungsten weight in the Ping. We've both got adjustability in the neck sleeve. We've got a 6-way neck sleeve in the Wilson, so we can adjust that loft and lie, and similar in the Ping, where we can make that flatter and also lower the loft and increase the loft by up to 1.5 degrees. So tons of adjustability in both of these. And in that playing position, as a comparison, we're just going to see confident and boosting head shapes, large footprints. The Ping very much from the front to the back of the driver, very stretched out, very large footprint down there. And the Wilson probably not quite as stretched out in the head from the front to the back, a little bit more of a rounded sort of shape, but again, a nice big footprint, again, confident, inspiring. Two quite different looks, obviously very matte black finish on the Ping, and the Wilson's got that gloss top section, which shows that little bit of carbon coming through with a matte framing at the front of the golf club near the club face. Okay, so we're going to start off with the Wilson, so the Max Plus, 9-degree head, got it set at 9 degree. I've got the weight at the back in that neutral sort of position. High gloss on the crown with that little bit of red etching on the inside of the heel with the DynaPwr logo. Okay, so nice strike to start things off there. Quite a nice low spin there, actually, a little bit high toe. Going to pull up a touch of spin off just under that 2,000 mark. Good launch and quite a nice start with the Wilson. Nice positive crack to that without it being too loud. Obviously, we've got that carbon on the crown, which will help to just mute a little bit of sound. That's a good strike. Touch a little fade on that, but really quite sort of neutral. Again, some really good numbers. A better spin there, probably a slightly better strike as well. Oh, it's another good strike right out the screws. Just working a little bit up that left edge of that fairway, maybe just clinging on there, but again, some nice numbers, smash at 147. Okay, so we'll quickly look at the technology involved in the Wilson driver. So as I mentioned, we've got this weight at the back, 26 gram weight, which is flippable from a neutral position, which is what I've got it set into, and then you can move that into a draw. So basically just take it out, turn it around and re-screw it in the same position. The weight just moves a little bit more towards the heel for that draw setting. We've got that 6-way or 6 adjustable options in that neck sleeve. So again, you can move that loft around. So as well as it's been the most forgiving driver that Wilson have ever produced, we've also got that PKR360 AI-driven club face. So really, as we see with a lot of brands, really helping to keep that ball speed up across the club face. And they've also done a little bit of work on the sort of bulge and roll in the club face, just to help with a bit of spin consistency as you miss your strike, because we do know when we miss the strike, that can affect your spin number. Again, good hit. It's a great solid feel to that, to be honest, with the Wilson. I think, you know, it's a shame it doesn't get a little bit more press in that driver category. It's a tough category, you understand, big names in there, isn't there? The irons are phenomenal. I mean, I've got the pair of the Wilson irons myself, loved them, have done for many, many years. The driver is a little bit of a tough one, but that is doesn't say it doesn't perform at all. That at £399 as a price point in the modern day driver prices now is a great value for money, I would sort of say. And it'd be interesting when we put it up against the Ping, because the Ping is coming in at £579. So nearly £200 difference on a driver, which is a lot of money. Okay, so one more with the Wilson and then we'll move into that Ping. Little bit low in the face on that one. Touch heel. Did launch a touch lower there because of that. But the spin retention there, so maybe that little bit of technology on the face there, the spin retention was really good there. It was only spun at just under 2400 there on a slight low heel strike, so that's pretty good. So availability-wise in the Max Plus from the Wilson, we've got 9 degree, a 10.5, a 12, and also a 12 light, which basically is a lighter head, lighter shaft for a little bit more that slower swing speed. They're all available right hand, and for left-handers, it's the 10.5 only. Right, so moving now into the Ping G440K. So this is Ping's version of the 10K driver. This replaced the G430 10K driver. We now see an introduction of more carbon, which is very visible on the sole. Obviously, we have the carbon face carbon crown that we've seen in many of the other models previously, but we now got it in the sole for the first time in a very large way. It covers the whole of the sole pretty much. We've got forged face. We've got this tungsten weight at the back, which is a chunky bit of weight. I think it is about 32 grams, if I'm remember exactly, which is a big chunk of weight, and that can obviously be moved into the heel to the toe or left in the centre. So obviously a very different look in that playing position in comparison to the Wilson. We've got completely matte out now, no gloss on here at all. We've got the darker section at the front of the crown, obviously with the famous Ping turbulators, and then we've got the matte, slightly greyer colour with a carbon just showing through. Matte black face, a little bit of white grooving, sits nice and square. Little bit heel side, touch up the left, take a little bit of sting off that potentially. Again, good retention on that spin from that heely strike. Only spun at 2400, that's nice. It's a good hit. Good solid flight there. Good solid sound. I think that is definitely not as pingy, as loud as we have seen in previous Ping drivers, probably because of the addition of more carbon in there just creates that more of a muted sort of sound to it. That's good flight. Okay, so really what we're seeing there straight away are just a couple of slight, not perfect strikes there, a little bit edged into the heel, but the spin retention is really good there with the Ping. So I'm very consistent on that spin, you know, around that sort of 2.5 to 2.6, you know, really consistent. Oh, that struck good. That struck very nice. So look at that spin again on that particular shot. Again, just sort of 23.5. So consistent with the spin with that Ping driver. Nice little launch there. And you can see dispersion just a fraction tighter maybe than the Wilson. There's not a lot in it. Just quite like working up that little left-hand half of that fairway there. So both of those drivers just edging a little bit up the left, but that's a bit more meat than the driver itself. Quite a nice one to finish off with there with the Ping. Okay. Let's jump into the numbers, just compare them. The £399 driver against the £579 driver. Let's have a look. Okay, so let's have a look at the numbers here. So we can see with the Ping was a fraction quicker on the club head speed. So about a 1 mile an hour quicker on an average on the speed. That's obviously created a tiny bit more ball speed because of that club head speed. So, but not by much, to be honest. So you can see it's only literally 0.7 of a mile an hour quicker in the ball speed. So that Wilson's done really well there. From the club head speed to ball speed ratio, as you can see in the far column, the smash at 1.46 against 145 of the Ping. It's done just a little bit better on that front. Launch angle, pretty much identical, averaging around that sort of 11.5 area. Spin, you can see with the Ping was super consistent. I really did like the consistency of that spin on the Ping, and a good number around that sort of 24.500 number. The Wilson obviously just a little bit low on that spin, which I don't mind being a bit more on the lower side. I don't like it when it gets on the higher side because I just lose a little bit of distance and it just balloons a little bit on me. But obviously a little bit lower maybe than the Ping there, about 300 revs as an average. Maybe not quite as consistent. Again, strike sort of does subject the numbers a little bit on that front. But then looking at carry number, 263, 260, 3 yards in it. 287 run out, 289, a couple of yards in it. So there's not a lot in there at all, is it, splitting those two numbers. So then it begs a question to you as a consumer. Would you just go straight to that big brand in the Ping, obviously with a larger price ticket, or would you give that Wilson some consideration and give it a try? Love to hear your thoughts as always. Post them in the comments down below. Hopefully, we'll catch up with you all very soon in the next video.